United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
We will start with public comment. Public participation is encouraged in the Laurel School District. All meetings of the board will be open to the public. Thanks.
About that seat.
I know. All meetings of the board will be open to the public except as provided by law. Scheduled meetings of the board may be recorded. Audience members may address the board during public comment for non-agenda interests or during the discussion of the relevant printed agenda item. Your public participation is welcome. If you plan to speak, fill out a card and pass the information either to Julie or Matt or myself. Do we have any public comment for our two people? No? Okay. Hearing none, we will move forward with correspondence. We had donations from the Laurel Education Foundation, the Rock Church, and Pizza Hut. Next, do you know if they were planning to be here, Caldwell?
You know what? I thought they were planning to be here. That was our board chairs was going to make contact with them, and maybe they're not. So apparently not. I do have one thing on correspondence before we go out of that. Was Laurel Education Foundation voted in June to disband. They cited in the letter to me kind of a lack of just interest in people to come on and be the president and the vice president and people to come on the board, just so you guys are aware of that. They're fulfilling all of their current obligations, they said, as far as the scholarships and things like that, but then they were at least hopefully temporarily disbanded. So just to make you guys aware of that on the LEF. Coldwell Bankers.
No.
She forgot, I don't know. So apparently it's not going to happen.
Does anybody have any comments on that?
I will put it on the next meeting as well. We'll let that carry over, and I'll talk to Brittany about it. There has been a number of people come through. I know that the prospective owners have brought in some people to do some inspections. There's been multiple people come through. I don't know, I think one was asbestos, one was, I know there's been some architects come through, structural type things, engineers, just, I think they're throwing around ideas. I wasn't in on the conversations, but that's kind of what it looks like.
You remember, when did we tell them, how long was that due diligence period? Is it ending in July?
I believe it's August. It's
August, so it's coming up.
Yeah, I think they have the rest of this month, but I know they've had quite a few people here. And they needed to start working with the city to look at rezoning.
You haven't heard anything
Nope, I
to
have
the
not.
contrary.
I've not heard nothing negative either.
So no news is good news, probably, in essence, on this for now, because
Right now, probably.
because if they had found some negative stuff, that, well, yeah, but I mean, they would have backed out.
We haven't
There
heard
was something that was significant through the inspections that they've already done. So that's good to know, at least.
Okay, I'll carry over the presentation.
Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Oh, the trip to the,
Yeah, I would have meant to remove View and Brew from the P card.
Any questions, comments, discussion from the board? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote on the motion to approve the consent agenda, removing the payment under P card to View and Brew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And now we will review the View and Brew P-card expense to, by itself.
I'd move to approve the P card expense for View and Brew.
Second. Is there any comment or discussion on that? Public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote the motion to approve the P-card expense to View and Brew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then Chris abstained. Okay, so moving on to action items. This is a possible action item for the resolution for elementary and high school building reserve levies. This is what we spoke about at the last meeting. We're talking about when to run a possible levy, whether that's November or that was May, and if we wanted to do that. We did get clarification from the county attorney's office that we won't be able to run that in November, that would be too onerous for them. So our option is May at this point. So I guess would everybody be okay with discussing first? Or do we want to, does anybody want to make a motion? Go ahead with discussion first then.
I guess, I mean, that's a pretty clear answer that we got back. So let's just focus on May, all steam ahead, and we can just spend this time like we did with the previous bond to really educate, the public as much as we can on what we need these levies for. Set up at, little talks at basketball games and try to put some posts out to the public in the paper, on Facebook, and things. This isn't a bad thing. It'd be nice to run, but it also gives us plenty of time to really get that information out there.
So this group can go ahead and make a resolution down the road in the next couple months. And then that gives us realistically all, most of the fall and all the winter and spring to go ahead and spread that word, meet, like you said, basketball games and volleyball games and all that. And go ahead and just have those conversations with people.
Bonnie?
I guess, in my opinion, one of the saddest points of not running a building reserve, trying it again before the property tax season, is the fact that we had worked so hard to figure ways to reduce in other areas so they would have no impact. We kind of lose that going into a new year. The taxes will go down this year, but then they'll go up next year, and then we look like the bad guys again. And so that's unfortunate.
Maybe having it though after the tail end of the special session, the legislative session, there might be enough good news coming out of that that it might benefit us to do it. I mean, who knows? It's a crapshoot, I guess. But sometime at this early fall, and I'd say your September-ish, we go ahead and make a resolution. We can do some of the more specifics later, but go ahead and resolve to do it so we can start talking about it publicly and saying, yes, the board's agreed to run this, therefore here's why we need it, and start talking about all those things.
I had mentioned this before when we ran this, but maybe it's worth thinking about again. Is someone like A&E, doesn't have to be an A&E, but someone who has experience with campaigning that could help us put the word out. I feel like that was a very successful campaign with the bond, whether we run a bond next year or the levies. Someone who can help craft that narrative for us and help promote it might be worth the expense to the district.
I think if we're talking bond, I really do think it's good to bring on somebody earlier than what we did last time. I would agree. Considerably earlier. We brought someone on at a pretty good time, but once they came on, we realized just how little we didn't know. So yeah, I think we could do a lot if we have 6, 8, 9 months to do it. I think we could do a lot. do.
I mean, I also think we learned a lot as a school and the people that were on that committee that, and we can probably draw from that, have that same sort of committee with, even if it's a levy that can help communicate things and show up and be there and help communicate with the public. I think it helped a lot to have community members communicate to community members rather than even just board members or the superintendent. I mean, I think we did really well there too, but I think that just the community chatter made a huge difference that we haven't really had in the past. And so bringing someone on would be positive, but we also have a whole lot more experience than we did last time going into that bond, even with the levies. So I think we would still do better even if we didn't hire somebody, but I think there was a lot of positive to the videos and all of the information that got out there.
I think that's the support I would look for from them, is more of the cohesion. And then I think we really know what works in our community and the community members we could rely on to help be that messenger. But then the continuity of everything that they provided material wise, I think was the benefit of having someone on board.
But they also knew that there was that carrot at the end of the stick, that there was a $57 million project.
Right, so they probably cut us a deal on the
Well,
campaign.
yeah, so yeah, they're willing to put a lot of time in it, knowing full well we have the upper hand in this whole project because it will know what's going on. I did talk to one of their people in some of our other meetings about it, and they really wouldn't necessarily be interested in. They would probably help us in a sense of, hey, try this, try that, but taking that on when there's not a multi-million-dollar carrot at the end of the stick, I'm not sure they would do that. But there's other people that do.
Yeah, that's why I said someone like
Other
them.
people that do. So
Creative is another marketing firm.
great example.
They, just somebody that maybe could help us create that cohesion. Unless we feel like, and I think this wouldn't be bad either if we involve the students early, especially our media and graphic design students, in helping create that cohesion too. Free, and it's a project for them. So that's
Time
another-
helps us. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any public comment? Okay, so we have options here. We can table this. We can just do nothing. We can make a resolution.
I'd motion to table action item A to a later date to be determined.
Any other comment? Questions? Any other public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. Chris made the move to table action item A until a future meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The next section is our informational items. I will go down each one. If we have any questions, let me know. Financial reports, the end of fiscal year report to the Board of Trustees for budgeted funds.
Say thanks for putting that together, and the notes are helpful too in that last column. So it's nice to kind of see this all in one sheet.
Cash report, revenue report, expenditure report, high school activities, middle school activities. Is there any public comment on financial reports? Hearing none, we will move on to the superintendent's report, resignation report, job vacancies, Laurel School District Safe Return to Schools and Continuity of Services Plan. Is there anything on those? Any public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to the MTSBA liaison report by Donnie.
I just want to throw in a couple of comments along with the written report that I submitted. That first section is an excerpt from an email that we received in early June. Has to do with the voting that we need to do as a board. I'd also like to request that that get put on the next board meeting agenda because this vote has to take place by July 31st. So we've only got one more meeting. And it lists I liked this because it lists the topics that we need to be voting on. It included the booklet from the meeting and referenced the pages where you can find information. So I thought it was a good place for us to review before we meet to take action. The reason we have to do this because they didn't have a quorum at their membership meeting, so now we have to do it the hard way. I also included the training schedule for 24-25. That was just recently released by School Boards Association and just gives you an opportunity to see what kind of trainings they're going to be offering throughout the year and maybe jotting on your calendar or whatever if there's something you're interested in. And just to let you know, the Think Tank Thursdays will be returning this week. Not quite sure what the topic is, but I'm assuming it's going to be more on the legislation that the Camps Group is putting together for funding at next year's legislative session. I think they've got a lot of great ideas. I like the approach they're taking, basing it on heavier on the quality educator payment rather than the student count, but the legislature can make changes to that, and we never know. Like you said,
Those are just proposals.
might turn out worse than we anticipate, or it might turn out even better. So anyway, just to let you know, Think Tank Thursdays come back, which is held at noon on Thursdays. So.
Any other questions or comments? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to discussion. The only thing under there is the levy. It's kind of a reiteration of what we already spoke about. So does anybody have anything further to comment on that? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to future discussion items. Is there anything anyone either is waiting to hear about or new things we need to look about putting on an agenda moving forward besides Donnie's? And then we'll put Caldwell Bank or update. Hopefully they can be here next. Anything else? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will adjourn. I did it.